Hi again. Don't mind my cat's tail. That's, she's just sitting above my camera right now. Uh, I wanted to make a quick video about what I miss about Japan and what I don't miss about Japan. So, first I'm gonna do things that I miss. And I have a list here. So, first thing, I feel like this is kind of obvious, is food. I do miss the food of Japan. It is so good. It is affordable. It's pretty healthy. Well, if you're not eating out all the time, at least. I really miss hamazushi. That was my favorite place. It's a kaiten sushi restaurant, which is a conveyor belt sushi restaurant, and the prices were really good. The service is so fast, and the food is just great. And honestly, everyone I've ever taken there has loved it. So I really miss that one specifically. I miss katsudon so much. I know I could probably make it myself, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. Number 2, I miss the cost of living so much. So much. And this is one of the reasons why I was considering moving back to Japan. And one of the reasons why I regret moving back to the US is the cost of living here in comparison to Japan is so horrible. It is awful. And I think you'll know, if you live in the US, how bad it is. The food prices are astronomical. The rent is insane. Absolutely crazy. Like, everything is over $1,000, while in Japan it's well under 1,000 if you're living on your own, especially in the countryside. And that goes into number 3. Which is the ease of living alone. I miss how easy it is to live alone in Japan. The cost is just perfect. The convenience stores provide you with an easy way to get just a single portion meal whenever you want. A lot of things are made so that one person can do it by themselves. And that's something I really appreciate about Japan, is them making it so easy to be on your own. And honestly, that can be kind of toxic. It can be a little bit lonely, but overall, I do think it is a positive thing to have the option, at the very least. Like, you're not gonna get looked at funny if you go out to eat alone in Japan, whereas in the US, I feel like it's not as common. It's just not as common. And most tables aren't set for just one person, you know? Next one is, I really miss vending machines. I know, that's kind of a weird one. But it's actually not if you think about it. Convenience is king in Japan. And honestly, that's something I love. Vending machines are everywhere. If you're thirsty, there's probably one outside your building. Love that. And the prices aren't crazy. Where in the US you would get like a $3 bottle of Coke, in Japan it's gonna cost you probably $1. Like, come on. Why can't we have that here? Next, I really miss the nature in Japan. That one's a big one. I miss having access to the ocean and the mountains, just like so close to you. And even if you have a car, you can just drive. You can drive into the mountains and you're out of the city so quickly. And it's so beautiful there. There's rivers, there's parks, there's so many places to see even in rural areas. And that's something I really appreciate. We definitely have beautiful nature in the US, but I guess I miss the ocean quite a lot. Because right now I'm living in a landlocked state, so obviously I can't go to the ocean. Next, things I don't miss, and this is an interesting list. So, number 1, I don't miss getting stared at. I really don't miss that. I know people will describe it as being a celebrity, but I don't like attention. I don't like people looking at me. I don't like people giving me any kind of extra attention that I didn't want in the first place. Like, if I'm going out in public, I want to be a nobody. I want nobody to look at me. I don't like being perceived. What can I say? And if you are going to live in the inaka in Japan, you are going to be perceived heavily. Very heavily. That is just something that I was not a fan of. Next, I don't miss feeling out of place. And what I mean by this is, as a foreigner, you're always going to stick out, and you're always going to feel like, obviously, Japan wasn't made for you, and it's never going to be made for you, but I just wanted a bit more acceptance, I guess. I felt like I was always perceived as just my identity as a foreigner rather than who I really am. And that makes sense culturally because Japan's a collectivist society. But that's just an aspect of living there that made me feel a little bit lonely, a little bit sad sometimes when I felt like I was being perceived as the foreigner before I was being perceived as Megan, you know? And there's only so much you can do about that. And you're just gonna have to get used to it, honestly. I'm not saying it's like a horrible thing. It's just something that I didn't love. That's all. Next, I don't miss not being able to express myself through style. I found myself being really restricted based on what I could wear. I found myself really fantasizing about moving back to the US and dyeing my hair all crazy colors and getting a bunch of piercings. Turns out I can't afford that. But at the very least, I have the option here. In Japan, I felt like I didn't have the option, and I felt like I was being stifled a little bit, and that's just the culture. That's just how it is. So there's not much you can do about that either. Love that. And again, I'm not saying these are bad things. I'm just saying these are differences, and I don't always drive with them. So next is I don't miss the heat. It is crazy hot in Japan during the summer, and the sun is gonna get you. It's out to get you. It's out to kill. Honestly, it feels that way sometimes. And that's why people can honestly die of heat stroke so easily in Japan, and there's signs everywhere warning you about heat stroke. I don't miss it. And that ties into my next point, which is I don't miss not having central AC and heating. This is a big one. This is a huge concern for me, especially having pets. It's having your apartment be like 90 degrees in the summer. Miserable. And I've lived in multiple apartments without a central cooling system, but I'm honestly never going to do it again if I have the option. It's harder than it sounds. And this also is about heating. So in winter, it's freezing. It's so cold. Everything in your apartment's gonna freeze. Everything in your kitchen in the summer is going to go bad quickly. Another thing I don't miss is the trash system. I know it's better for the environment, but when I was feeling a little bit depressed when I was in Japan, I found it incredibly difficult to get rid of my trash and to get rid of my recycling. I just didn't have the energy to get up, clean my bottles out, fold up my newspapers, fold up my boxes in certain ways, and take it to a certain facility to be recycled. It was a lot of steps, and I know this sounds privileged. It is. But it was really hard for me. So it's honestly something that I don't miss, even though I know it's better. In general, it is better. The next thing that I don't miss is not being able to get Western food, especially cheese. This drove me crazy. Absolutely insane when I lived in the inaka. It was, well, we had Brazilian restaurants. We had hamburger restaurants. But aside from that, and pasta restaurants. But I couldn't get my comfort food, like mac and cheese. I couldn't get, or I could make a grilled cheese, but it wasn't the same without the American cheese, you know? And the options for cheese are just really lackluster. I couldn't get Mexican food there. and the ingredients were kind of lacking. A big thing I missed was hummus. I couldn't get hummus there. I couldn't even find chickpeas a lot of the time. So I wanted to make it, but I couldn't. I couldn't find tahini either, so it was kind of impossible to make hummus. The one time I got it was at Costco, Japan, and I went crazy for it. That was a good memory. Actually, here's my Costco card. That said my whole name. I'm gonna cut that out. Thanks for watching, and I plan to post more videos, including topics like why I regret leaving Japan, and also just some other everyday things that I do in my everyday life. I'm not sure if anyone's interested in that, but maybe. So let me know if there's anything you want to know. Ask your questions, and I'd be very happy to make another video based on your comments.